Hey everybody, it's Mike from the Mike Wagner Show, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on themikewagnershow.com. You can check our Facebook page at facebook.com/The Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, and over 25 podcast platforms, including Amazon, Audible, and coming soon to Podbean and Buzzsprout, and more tuned in as well. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel, and follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with a wonderful lady from Connecticut who was a one-time business partner and also an author of a wonderful book that's going to be coming out very soon. And she also wrote a couple others as well. She's a founder of Thread MB, which is a celebrity lifestyle blog, and had Andrea Bocelli on, and also award-winning children's TV creator, and also a TEDx speaker, and living in Connecticut as well, and also has a popular kids book called Jasper's Giant Imagination. But be careful what you wish for, as we're going to talk about this. Live, ladies and gentlemen, from the Plush Studios in beautiful downtown Connecticut, the very multi-talented, super winning author, Laura Wellington. Laura, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thanks for joining us today.
What an introduction. Wow, I'm impressed with myself.
Well, be careful what you wish for, they say. So
yes, that's exactly what they said.
And of course, that's what book says, but we'll talk more about that. So you're an award-winning author. You're the founder of Thread MB, which is a celebrity lifestyle blog, and you've also a TEDx speaker. You also had Giant Jasper Imagination, award-winning children's TV creator, and basically been a media personality for quite some time. And the book we're talking about is basically just something that has happened along the way. What can people learn from it? And before we get into all that, tell us how you first got started your wonderful career.
I got started initially in technology with my late husband. That we launched a number of businesses and had children together and whatnot. And then he ended up passing away in 2002. I decided at that point, having learned how short life could be, to follow some of my dreams that I knew I wanted to do before, I ended up being in his shoes. So I started in children's television. I created a series called The Wumblers and cut my teeth in children's television, but I guess I did pretty well because it won a number of awards. Yeah. I love kids, and I think it came through. So I learned television through that series. And then in 2011, I really wanted a change in my life. So I sold my various companies and moved to Connecticut, started writing. And I wrote 2 books, then decided to launch a blog, Thread MB, combining social media influencers and celebrity interviews. It did very, very well. It continues to do very, very well and reaches all different types of people, from the general reader to heads of major companies that you see in the news every day, and celebrities and whatnot. Then a few years, I ended up moving to Connecticut, and then a few years back, I decided to take another risk and began writing this book, a very personal book to me. Reveals a bit about, it's written as fiction, but it definitely is based upon my life. And so it reveals a few incidents in my life and sides of me that few people know about. But I think I was ready to share. I know I was ready to share them. And I think it also was a bit of a tribute, a closing out of one period of my life and an opening of another, and a bit of a tribute to someone that I dearly loved.
Hmm. And what was that one moment that precisely influenced you into writing the book, Be Careful What You Wish For? So what was that one moment that says, I'm going to go and do this?
The one moment, I don't think it was just one moment. I think it was one of those things that it would crept up on me over time, and eventually it continued to gnaw at me to the point where I said, you know what, I'm just going to do it. And so it really took me, I say, it took me 3 years to write the book, but it really took me 31 years
Wow.
to create the content, because there's 31 years of living and story in that book. And so, nothing's an overnight success. I think this is such a great book for people to read. I think they'll definitely be stunned by the content. They'll
Hmm.
be stunned. It seems that it's making both men and women sob.
Hmm. And, and you know something, too. I am just about out of paper towels when reading this book. It's like I think one like those whole rolls like of Scott's not toilet paper. It's like paper towels. I mean, the tears were just that flowing, and I had to call my wife a few times just to mop up. The dog had to lick it up and everything, and they're like, "Why are you crying?" And I said, "It was just with the book, just accounting about." I think what really struck me the fact that your late husband had Crohn's disease, and you can just tell everybody about what Crohn's disease is, and how do you prevent, and what are the symptoms, and I mean, just I don't know what to describe about going through ordeal of someone having Crohn's disease.
Yeah, well, it's an autoimmune disorder, and it is. There's numerous medications out there that you take. He took many different types at once, and depending upon his symptoms. But initially, it wasn't something that really affected our lives. It was only as time went on that this high stress living that we were undergoing started taking a toll, and ultimately he fell to it. I believe that what ended up happening is the medication suppressed his immune system, and I believe that's where his cancer came from.
Hmm.
So
And also and then how do you make people aware of Crohn's disease, and also it's like if there's any support groups, and of course you
sure.
lost your husband as well, and how do people deal with death, and where to go support, and how can one help with it?
Yeah, yeah, I can't point them to any type of support groups. I know he did not seek them out. Like I said, he was capable of handling it, and that's what I was trying to portray, because obviously the story is written as fiction. And so the main character, which I call him Rick, but that's obviously actually my late husband. Um, he was handling it very, very well. And unfortunately, there was only so much you can do when the cancer started. And going through that with him, in the position I was in with four little kids at the time, wasn't easy. Um, I think that I think in the book you see the tremendous amount of love that we shared. And but there's more to that story, because the question becomes, when he did pass away, did he really leave? And those were things that I was coping with and trying to figure out in his passing, because so many odd things were happening in my life that evidence that he really wasn't gone. So that's I think that was the biggest struggle that I had, is sharing that side, Mike, because that's a little odd to explain to people. And you're touching upon people's beliefs, in the spiritual world. You're touching upon, um, I didn't want people to see me as crazy, or Evie as crazy. But I can tell you that neither myself nor Evie are. When, from a very little child, I've been very connected to the spiritual world.
Mm.
And so this just brought it out even more.
Hmm. And there's also a part in there where you were talking to Rick, and I think it was where that it was in form of like a pet, an object, or maybe like an angel or something. And do you really think Rick was taking the life form as like a pet or an object, or maybe like an angel or something? Or did you think it was? I think you know what I'm trying to get at. So it's just like do you think he was like a pet, or is it like an
Yeah,
angel or some spirit?
yeah, he definitely is a spirit. Definitely is a spirit. I mean, he came out, the culmination of the book, he shows himself fully through Bass, who is the medium, and that's when Evie.
Okay.
Um,
Okay, go ahead. Are you still with us, Laura? Because I think we cut
yeah,
out a little bit. So,
okay, okay. So when the medium connected me with, connected Evie with Rick, and i.e. me with Dean, that conversation made me very clear in the fact that I had been speaking with them all this time. And so that definitely gave me a sense of peace, um, and the ability to move on to the next phase of my life. I think up to that point, I continued to struggle, and that's what I tried to evidence through the character of Evie. Continued to struggle to figure out, am I crazy? Am I doing the right thing? Is it me? Is it him? How am I, doing this? Part of it is I had a lot of success in my life that really shouldn't have happened, especially in the technology business. I was making a lot of right decisions, but I wasn't prepared to do it. So at least I didn't feel that way. And as much as I wanted to say that, oh yeah, it's all me, I didn't really think it was. And so it became very clear after speaking with the medium, and who I call Bass, that he was there guiding me as well.
hmm and you also talked about in the book as well too. You met a couple of people along the way. One ended up being your fiance that broke, and then you ended up marrying the next person. And of course, as you know, we're not giving a lot of the book away here. So, did you feel at the time that you had a hard time letting go of Rick when you got in your relationships, or was it just like hey, I'm going to do this, but then all of a sudden Rick just pops up? That seems like in the case of most people that when someone passes away, it's like it carries with you, and some are just like, okay, the person's moved on, and we can just go on. So I guess it's just what I'm trying to say is that do you feel you had a difficult time, just getting through that, or is just where is an attempt to say, hey, I'm gonna do this, and all of a sudden Rick pops up?
No, I think Rick never went away. I think, the connection was there for so long and so strong. It made it difficult for me to move on with any other relationship and really, be fairly involved, where your heart is um, open. Although you don't know that you're limited. You keep trying and you keep trying, but there was always something that was amiss. And it became clear to me how attached I was still, and how attached Evie was to Rick and I to Dean, um, when I spoke with that medium, because it was clear to me that I was still married to him. In my heart, I was still married to him, and him to me. I needed certain things said between us in order to bring closure. And I don't think I'd have that closure today hadn't I had that conversation. And I really think that that leads to everything happens for a reason, because had I not met this one person and the other person, and then led me to this particular medium, I would not, I could not say that I would be released today. I don't think I would. I
hmm
needed to have certain things said between us.
Right, and of course, going back to Rick as well, before he had Crohn's disease, is that he was very successful under his dad's business, but then trying to get his own business, that was a very, very, very tough transition. And oh my gosh, I don't know if you want to do a play-by-play on it, maybe just just a few quick details, but that had to be painful. Trying to break away from a family business, starting your own. I mean, that's got to be tough.
Yeah. Well, the Remingtons, as I call them, were almost like, similar in demeanor to the Kennedys. Extremely wealthy, extremely successful. Rick's father was brilliant and a gentleman, and but there was more to him than that. He was also very controlling. And so when Rick tried to break away, it was very hard to do that. He was ostracized. And so we had to go on. Evie and Rick had to go on, i.e. Dean and I had to go on and launch this business. And we really did it from the ground up. Initially, we weren't an overnight success. We had to sell a bunch of stuff to stay afloat for a while. Then when it did click, because we were both very determined to have our own life, make our own way, and have our own family. And so we worked very hard together to do that. When it clicked, though, when the business clicked, though, it clicked because we were feeding to software, specialized software, proprietary software to Wall Street and in a specific segment. And it just happened to be needed right at that time. So we really cornered the market in this area. And that lifted our business to the point where it was really very successful. And, I have to say proudly, we were a great team. It's Evie and Rick too. So.
And of course, when we're talking about the Remingtons, we're not talking about the razor company and not Victor Kiam. So you remember the old commercial back in the day? It's like not only I own Remington, I'm also a client. So
right, that's true. Yes, right.
and most importantly, what can we learn? About running the business, relationships, and what you go through in the book as well too. Is like, what can we learn from all this?
What can you learn? There's so many things to learn. One is to hang in there. Believe in love. I think that's the biggest lesson I want people to understand. True love is not disposable. It's not easily broken, and it's not broken by the parameters that we would think. That we think exists today between this world and the spiritual world, this world and the great beyond, so to speak. It's not touched, and people, when they pass, they're not gone. They are still very much here. And so I think there is great love out there. I think people have forgotten that. I think the true love stories are so few and far between today that they're not really spoken about, but they are out there. It's relationships and love should never be a flash in the pan. You should wait, you have to believe in it, and you should wait for it because it's worth the wait.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's very understandable as well, too, because with social media, it seems like everything is so instant. And if people read the book, they should learn from it. And, of course, be careful what you wish for. Once again, tell us when that's going to be out and how can people get a hold of the book.
So it's going to be out on October 30th, so at the end of this week. And they can either go to my site, which is laurajwellington.com. You can pre-order on that site, but it will be available in all the other sites, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and what have you, all the normal sites. So, but I have, the publisher just told me it will be out October 30th. So that's what we're shooting for.
And we're looking forward to that. We'll also talk about her other books as well, too. But first, listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Look at a professional website without breaking your budget. Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs that blow the competition away. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/the Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, Amazon, Audible, Apple, and more. And coming soon to Podbean, as well as Budsprout, TuneIn, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show with you on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel, and follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with author and lifestyle blogger Laura Wellington here on the Mike Wagner Show. We talked about the book, Be Careful What You Wish For. It's going to be out October 30th, as mentioned. And it's not just the one book she also did. She also did What to Do When Jane Knows Dick About Dating and the 4-Star Diet. And tell us about those great books.
Okay, well, the 4-Star Diet was based on Colin Powell's leadership primer, which basically spells out rules for success, in his case, on a battlefield. I decided to turn it into a nutrition and health book for women, women who are dieting. I figured, you know what, if it works on the battlefield, it should work in the kitchen. And it actually does. So,
oh, you're making me hungry. You're making me hungry, General. You're making me hungry, sir.
So I took each of his points and I expanded it upon them and made them relevant to lessons that women should learn about managing themselves. And it's less, it's not going to tell you what to eat, but it's just going to tell you the mindset to be in, to set yourself up for success. And that's whether it's in the kitchen or it's generally in life. So that was the first book I ever wrote. And then a second one, What to Do When Jane Knows Dick About Dating. That was an interesting story because that came out of, yeah, I know. That came out of a trip that I made to Amsterdam. And it was the first solo trip I ever took. And I ran into a couple of women sitting in a pub talking about a bad date. And this one woman, the question of whether or not she should go out with this guy again, she was asking that of her friend, and I just overheard the conversation. I shook my head, and because I did that, they invited me into this conversation because they saw me react. And they said at the end of this time together, they said, you should write a book. And I was appreciative of the remark, but I had no intention of writing a book. And when I went back to the US, that comment stuck with me. And so I ended up calling up a publisher that I knew and proposed this book. And he said, yeah, that's great. Let's do it. So I wrote the book in 6 months and boom, wow. It was out there. And it was fun. Now, what happened with that book, that was interesting because that's how I ended up giving my TEDx. Because that book was read by someone at this particular Tedx organization. And they rang me and they said, we're doing this TEDx in Wellington. We'd love for you to talk. And, so, oh my gosh. So that's how that happened. So I ended up having to scramble because I was one of the last people. I guess normally you have to apply, but I was invited. So, wow. Yeah. So I was one of the last people to be, in that particular TEDx. And I remember I was traveling a bit that time. So like, how am I going to do this? And so I remember I had taken my son on a vacation and I was practicing my own TEDx every morning when I was running. I was listening to it from my phone. And as I was in the pool, I was swimming and I was saying it in the pool. So it was really, and I ended up that's how I practiced it. And it was the easiest thing because it's the easiest thing to do. And I loved it. It was a great experience. And so that's how that TEDx came about. But it was funny how that happens. One thing leads to another.
That sounds interesting. And tell us more about TEDx and, about the company, the organization. That sounds really interesting. I might have gotten an email about it, but maybe indirectly. And it was just funny. We were talking about TEDx and I had someone, get in there. Maybe you can tell about the TEDx organization.
Well, TEDx is a derivative of TED, and And so they put on these conferences where they invite, they have a certain topic that they're going to cover. So all of the speakers have something to do with that topic to complete that whole conference. And so, so mine, I don't particularly remember what the topic was that I was invited to cover, but obviously my TEDx fit in. So, but it's an interesting experience because you get the chance to give these fascinating talks, and everyone brings their own perspective, their own life experience, and their own lesson at the end of each TEDx. So it's a fascinating organization overall. Before they're able to upload those TEDx's to YouTube, they have to go in front of TED, and TED has to approve them. So they have their own. So they're scrutinized a bit. They have to be motivational in some way, deliver on a lesson that people need to hear. That is, I think that the whole thing really is something that hasn't been said before is what they're looking for.
So basically, it's all about originality. That's what it sounds like.
It's all about originality. But that's the thing. I'm fortunate in the fact that I've been gifted with a ton of originality and ideas. Many different things, whether it be in media, entertainment, or in publishing or whatnot. I'm blessed with that. So.
Mm-hmm. And of course, speaking of originality, you also have Jasper's Giant Imagination, which is a bestseller. And tell us about that wonderful book.
So that's a series of books for children. In fact, it just went. Amoeba TV just took it, and they're transitioning it into a video TV series on their site. So Jasper's Giant of Imagination is all about a little boy who has this giant imagination. He lives in a personified world. And so, for example, there's one book, My Tooth's Loose, and Jasper imagines that his tooth is loose, but he imagines in his world that the tooth has a face and little arms and legs, and that the tooth is holding on to his gum because he doesn't want to come out because he's frightened of leaving the mouth. So Jasper goes through this whole thing and tries to convince his tooth to come out of his mouth, and eventually they strike this understanding, and the tooth decides to jump out.
I wish I would have done that to my teeth a long time ago. Say, trip to the dentist. Tooth, come out.
It's a cute series. There's another book where there's a flu bug in his tummy, and you see this actual flu bug in his tummy, and they go through the process of he goes through the process of feeling better and convincing the flu bug to leave his tummy. So you see, it's things that children imagine in their heads, that that beautiful, fresh imagination that it's not addressed, but this is how they think. So I go into the child's head, remember back to when I was a child, and I put it down on a page, and it's been wonderful. I mean, it's a great series. I really enjoy it. So that's one of them. That's one of them.
It sounds amazing too. You've been doing some writing for quite some time, and who are some of your favorite authors and writers growing up?
Well, it's funny because Jane Austen is one of mine. My youngest son's name is Austin, and it's Austen. One of my daughters is named Emma, because obviously Jane Austen wrote Emma. So she was definitely one of my favorites. F. Scott Fitzgerald was another one of my big favorite of mine. So I'd say that those were my two favorite. The classics. I like classics.
Mm-hmm. And of course, yours is about to be a classic as well, too. And what's coming out for Lauren Wellington? We'll find out in just a minute. But first, listen to The Mike Wagner Show at themikewagnershow.com, powered by Sonic Web Studios. Visit online at sonicwebstudios.com for all your needs. Looking at a professional website without breaking your budget? Sonic Web Studios is the answer. Sonic Web Studios offers fast, affordable custom web designs at below the competition rate. Call today, 1-800-303-3960. That's 1-800-303-3960. Or email to support@sonicwebstudios.com. Mention the Mike Wagner Show, get 20% off your first project. Sonic Web Studios, take your image to the next level. Also, the Mike Wagner Show can be heard on the MikeWagnerShow.com. You can check our Facebook page at Facebook.com/the Mike Wagner Show. You can download and listen on Facebook, SoundCloud, Spreaker, Spotify, and iHeartRadio. Also on Anchor FM, Radio Public, iTunes, Google Play, along with Amazon, Audible, and coming soon to Podbean, Buzzsprout, Tuned In, and more. Take the Mike Wagner Show on any mobile device. Subscribe to the Mike Wagner Show on the YouTube channel, and follow the Mike Wagner Show on Instagram and Twitter today. We're here with author and celebrity blogger Laura Wellington here on the Mike Wagner Show. We talked about her latest, Be Careful What You Wish For, and also her previous, What to Do When Jane Knows Dick About Dating. And maybe you guys can take some lessons out there. No need for Tinder or any of those dating apps out there, Match.com, forget about it. And of course, a 4-star diet, which is making me very hungry, and along with Jasper's Giant Imagination. And of course, you got a plethora of great books out there. And what can we expect from me in 2021 and beyond, Laura?
Oh my gosh. So what I am seeing in my future, I believe that Be Careful What You Wish For is going to go to film. That's, and we're already talking with a few of the film companies, a few of my favorite ones. So I'm very excited about that. And then I'm supposed to be writing a sequel to it. So I have to get to that. But I think right now we're going to be concentrating on, moving the book in the directions that it needs to go. And there's potential for me to get back into children's television a little bit, children's entertainment with another project that I'm working on right now. So we'll see if that happens. But, you can't do too many things at once. And I've been fortunate enough to have people like my work. So it's really, for me right now, it's a decision what direction I really want to concentrate in. And I'm really enjoying developing this story with Evie and Rick. And there's, in my head already, the sequel is written. It's just a matter of putting it down on the page.
Mm-hmm. And of course, they say you can't always get what you want, but you get what you need. But I'm sure there'll be a good sequel to it. And yeah, if they want to throw in Dick and Jane along too, I'm sure they'd love the ride. So
that's funny. Think about it.
Well, that's something good as well too. We're here with author Laura Wellington here on the Mike Wagner Show. A very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. And just a couple of things. And who do you consider biggest influence in your career, Laura?
Walt Disney.
Nice.
Walt Disney.
Okay. And
hands down.
Okay. And of course, mine too. Mickey Mouse about it. And what's the best advice you can give to anybody at this point?
Take your risks. Life is too short not to take risks. Take your risks. Don't be frightened. They'll either grow you and they'll lead you in the direction you need to go, or you'll learn something from them so you can't lose.
That's very important as well. Once again, author and celebrity blogger Laura Wellington here on the Mike Wagner Show. Laura, very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely fantastic. Looking forward to having you again soon. Keep us up to date. Once again, tell us about your upcoming projects. What's your website? How do people contact you? And where can people purchase your books or check you out?
I would go to either threadmb.com and the book site is laurajwellington.com. You can reach me that way, and to check them out. Contact me there.
Sounds good. Once again, Laura, very big thank you for your time. You've been absolutely great. Looking forward to having you again soon. Do us a favor, keep us up to date. Love you back on in 2021 and beyond. And don't forget to keep in touch. And yes, be careful what you wish for. It can be a good thing.
Thanks, Mike.